Hi, I'm Marco Salvalaglio from the Institute of Scientific Computing, and this picture you see is a sort of tribute to Kate Haring. So what you see is a view from above of a thin film that undergo an instability that leads the film to break and forming this pattern. So this pattern forms spontaneously, and it's very similar to what one would obtain from the separation of two immiscible fluids, like water and oil. However, here it forms in a completely different system that is basically a thin film, and the reason is a sort of elastic energy stored in. However, without entering in the detail, let's focus on the pattern that was our focus in the investigation we carried out. So we analyzed this pattern that in the center is extracted from the experiments with a lot of tools, mathematical and topological tools, and this you see on the two sides is an illustration of them. In this part you see the object that are isolated, so separated from the others, and they are marked, all the objects or the separated objects are marked with a different color. On this side, instead, you find the voids fully contained in the pattern, with a sort of change of colors of the structure to provide this three-dimensionality, so this three-dimensional effect in between. So these two quantities are nice to see in this pattern, but they directly correspond to mathematical object. And thanks to this and also additional analysis, we demonstrated that this pattern directly correlates, so directly corresponds to what would be obtained by this phase separation I mentioned before. Now, why this is important? It's important because in this pattern, from phase separation, one gets basically disordered structure, but they still entail some correlation. So if you move in this pattern, you will always find some recurrent wavelength. And this is important to have this structure, this pattern, once you produce them with some material, to have them interacting with light. So at this level, we provided a sort of basic explanation of this pattern and of the feature, but in the meantime it has been delivered a proof of concept actually, where this pattern has been reproduced with additional material and it has been proved to interact with light. So we expect now, beyond this basic scientific work, to have a lot of application for photonics and electronics.